Blessing to be joining you from the studios of Amazing Facts from their office, and we're sitting with Pastor Doug Batchelor. Pastor Batchelor, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, Felicia. How are you?
I am good. Excited about what we're going to talk about, but first I want you to just tell us a little bit about your trip to Israel. How was that?
Well, it was very historic. I'll try not to gobble up all our time, but the time we went was, this is the 70th anniversary of Israel as a nation.
Yeah.
America just moved and recognized the embassy in Jerusalem, which caused a lot of furor. There's fighting in the Gaza Strip, and Ramadan just started. And so all this happening, it was sort of a historic time to be there. We took a group of Amazing Facts friends. My wife had never been there. And it's always exciting because all the stones and sites just ooze with Bible history, and you come back with your faith invigorated.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm sure you guys can catch more of that on their Facebook page. But we want to let you know, before we jump into the conversation, that we have a special offer at the end of this presentation. So if you send in your questions, we will be able to pick a few of them and ask Pastor Doug. Visit our Facebook page and our website as well, centerforonlineevangelism.org. So we're talking about the importance of online evangelism, taking whatever it is that we do to lift up the gospel and making that digital. So Pastor Doug, I want to ask you, as you've traveled, what have you seen as a result of the online ministry of Amazing Facts?
Well, everything we're doing now is because we believe in the online ministry. A few years ago, we began to notice that we were getting more people that were watching online than were actually in the building. And so now, like when we do prayer meeting from week to week, just this last week, and this is only on my Facebook account, doesn't count the Amazing Facts and all the other outlets. I'll do a study, there's 20, 30 people in the building. 34,000
all around the world.
Contacts, an hour after the meeting. That's not all views, and then maybe 12,000 views. So it's just, it's such a fabulous way. I mean, what pastor would want to turn down a room with 12,000 people? And so, to me, it's a no-brainer that this is a way to reach a growing audience.
So what would you say to persons who feel that we should sort of stay away from certain digital means because there's so much dangers online and with social media and with privacy? What would you say to those persons?
Well, I'd say every medium of communication has a risk. There's risks with books. I mean, you can read the wrong kind of book. Book is a medium, and it can be exploited for bad or for good. Of course, the Bible's a book. When television first came out, there were a number of church leaders that were very apprehensive about television because it was principally used to communicate things that were not always the best. But when it is written, said, you can communicate the gospel, and others have done it very effectively. The internet is a tree of good and evil. I mean, there are risks. Some people can get addicted. Some people can binge watch television programs, or they can watch good things. So, there's no question that it's got an upside and a downside.
Now, I know that with the Bible school, it's going to be online, so more people will be able to tune into that. And Amazing Facts you all have a blog, you do the Facebook Live question and answer. Was this something that was an easy transition for Amazing Facts to get on with all of these digital means, or was it a gradual thing? What was that experience like?
Well, we started, the Bible school's actually been on for years. We're just upgrading, putting the whole new Bible school out there now. But we had an interesting experience years ago when we started to put some of our free books online. We heard a story about someone, he was a fisherman, and he Googled the word worms. He's looking for worms. And he Googled the word worms, and it took him to a Joe Cruz book where it talks about the worm that does not die, which is a verse about hell. I mean, the worm doesn't die and the fire is not quenched. And he wasn't looking for that at all, but in looking for that, he said, that's the kind of worms I need, worms that don't die, because my worms I buy online die. And he ended up reading this book, and he said, wow, this is not at all what I was looking for, but that's fascinating. Then he went to another book and another. He basically read his way into the truth and got baptized. We just heard this story in India a couple of months ago. We were in India, met a young man, atheist, found our website, read his way into the truth, got baptized, and when we interview him, He's teaching at a university, a Christian university. Did it all online. So we just don't have time for me to tell you story after story of the testimonies we get. So we began to notice what a tremendously effective way the internet was, because when Amazing Facts also does TV ministry, but we spend about $3 million a year buying television time.
Wow.
With the internet, the money that we spend is just the money we spend on the computers and the programming. We don't buy the time. It's so cost effective that it's just amazing.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in, we're talking about the importance of using online means to share the gospel, to lift up Jesus Christ, to reach out people, because there are almost half of the world's population is online. Out of 7 billion people, they have access to the internet. On Facebook alone, there are 2 billion people. So if there's one way that we definitely can get the message out there, it is through using these digital means. Yes, there are the pitfalls, there are challenges, but we also have resources. And that's one of the reasons why organizations like Amazing Facts and the Center for Online Evangelism exists. So please feel free to visit our website, centerforonlineevangelism.org. We have resources, podcasts, newsletters that can help you and your ministry boost the gospel online. Now, Pastor Doug, I'm sure someone is thinking, well, we don't have the resources that Amazing Facts have. What's your message to maybe a pastor or communication director who feel they don't have the resources, the funds to have a booming online ministry?
Well, it works a couple of ways. One is if through years of work, writing a book, doing TV programs, you develop an online name, you can build an audience that way. But one of the best things is have incredible content. I mean, we've all seen YouTube videos that have gone viral because somebody said or did something that was very interesting, amazing, touching, outrageous, but somehow it has an emotional appeal.
Right.
When there's great content, and people know that every week or every day at a certain time you're going to deliver something inspiring, doesn't have to be long, you will build an audience. And I can cite many examples of people we know that now have thousands of people, sometimes millions of people, that are tuning in every week to find out what's the next thing they're going to post or say, or it might be something written. And so the best thing is have something to say. I mean, the idea of everybody just trying to get online, well, no one's going to listen if you're not saying anything. So have something with value, and you build a following, you feed people. You know, if you're a pastor, you feed them. And it doesn't need to be technologically deep. You know, we've been doing a radio program. Matter of fact, you're looking now. This is the first broadcast from our new studio. So, Felicia, you guys get the honor of being the first broadcast. We built our fancy table here out in the warehouse, and we've got our monitors. We're moving from Salem Broadcast, where we've been doing it, to doing it in our office. We just find this will be more cost effective. For years, when we went on the air with our radio program, we would pump the lines. Lines are open, give us a call. And we're begging people to call. There's like 300 stations around the country. And then one week, we said, let's post this live on Facebook. And so I took my phone. No fancy studio equipment. I just took my phone. We put it on a camera tripod with a little clip that you buy for $20. And we think, well, we need an audio input. So we plugged in some of the headphones from the studio. Just put a headphone. It looks like a little man. Got a little headphone. So the camera's looking. We put it on Facebook. We press go live. All of a sudden, our phone calls. The lines lit up. We had all lines full. There were so many more people that were watching the program online that it's more than people listening through the network of 300 stations. And so it wasn't that complicated. Now we're even thinking, do we need to do the radio station, or should we just be doing our radio program through Facebook or online?
So all this time, you know, watching Bible Answers Live, I'm thinking there are a whole bunch of fancy equipment. It's basically your phone.
The internet version is just my telephone.
Yeah.
And I press go live before I go on the air, and Pastor Ross jumps up and he adjusts the little tripod, makes sure that we're capturing us both, and we sit down and we're in a professional studio on the penthouse of a building downtown when we broadcast it, and we have an engineer. But now technology is such that we found out we can do it all through the internet right here in our own studios. So
So that just basically tells us, so for whether you are a pastor, ministry leader, or just an individual, you may not be the head of a ministry. That whole idea that you have to spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars on a studio and equipment, whatever the Lord has given to you, once the Holy Spirit is leading and once we have something good to say, as Pastor Doug said, which is the gospel and Jesus Christ, and you're producing good content, the Lord will work with what He has given you to share the gospel. And that's so amazing. We want to remind you as well, the North American division, they now have a department that's dedicated to helping you, church leaders and church members, to know how to use these online means. So you can visit their website, sdadata.org, to find out more information about that. Something else that I want to ask you about, a few months ago, we did you did the Facebook Live debate. How did that idea come about to do it on Facebook?
Well, we did record it also for television, but our principal audience was through the internet. There's another a radio program. They do Bible Answers. The gentleman came to town. He was talking about the subject of hell. He and I met. And somebody, one of our supporters of both stations, says, "You guys need to get together. I mean, you both have a similar format where you talk, you're friendly, and you answer Bible questions. Why don't you take a hot subject like, doesn't matter if you keep the Sabbath?" And I normally don't do debates, but I thought, this will engage people.
Right.
And so, we did that and had, I think we had 500,000 people.
It was quite a lot.
Yeah, were paying attention, and we may do more of that. I think people are interested in dealing with, like I said, content, interesting subjects.
And just watching that debate, for those of you who did, if you didn't, you can always go to the Amazing Facts page and catch that. There was a lot of debate from people all over the world who are taking part in this dialogue. So we see that Facebook, and that's just one means that we can use to share the gospel. Now, perhaps you're thinking, well, I'm not that camera person. I can't turn Facebook Live on and be that camera person. Do you consider yourself as a camera person, internet to be out there? Do you consider yourself as that?
Well, I'm not a camera person either. Matter of fact, a little while ago I was uploading something of our construction project, and I dropped my phone, and people said, "This is fun, Pastor Doug, but we can see you're not a cameraman."
Right.
So, but you know what? People still watch.
Yeah.
And so anybody can do it. The best thing is, like I said, you don't want to just do it so that you can get yourself out there. You want a message that will help and bless other people.
Yeah.
But the technology really is still in the miraculous stage. I believe internet now is to the gospel what the printing press was 500 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if Ellen White was alive today, when she talked about spreading the gospel like the leaves of autumn, she talked about printing pages like leaves. Now she'd say, stream it.
Yes.
Like beams around the world. And so that's what we're trying to do.
And I also want to remind you as well, using online means for evangelism doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in front of the camera. You can do a podcast. If you have the gift of gab, use a podcast. You can, if you love to write, start a blog, start a YouTube channel. There are so many different ways. Whatever gifts and talents the Lord has given you, there's a way to incorporate an online aspect of that. So don't be afraid. As long as the Holy Spirit is leading, then you know that He will show you exactly what you need to do. We want to remind you again, we're talking about online evangelism and reaching the world for Christ. You can visit our website, centerforonlineevangelism.org. There are resources, there are podcasts, there are blogs that can help you, your church, your ministry, promote the gospel online. So in terms of the developing world, sometimes persons may have the idea, well, there are certain parts of the world where there isn't internet. What would you say is the impact of online evangelism even in the developing world?
Well, Felicia, this is what makes it so exciting to us, is that just in the last year and a half, Karen and I have been to New Guinea. In the last 2 months we've been to India, Africa, Israel, several cities in each of those countries. Middle East, we were in Dubai. Every single one of the places, maybe 20% or more of the audience and the people we met is because of the internet. Now, here people sit with their laptops But if you go to Africa and India, everyone's got the phone.
Right.
In the Philippines, everybody's texting. They've all got the phones in front of them. And so when we were in New Guinea, I mean, people think of New Guinea and they think of one of the more third world countries in the world. Mm-hmm. But we had 160,000 people showed up in person for an event that we did, and so many of them had been watching the programs on their phones. Mm-hmm. And so they may live in a humble home, but it seems like the internet is available everywhere.
Yeah. No. And I was having a conversation with Jamie Dom from the SDA Big Data Department, and what she said is that sometimes maybe you reach the person who does have internet, who does have access to the internet, and that person can reach someone who does not have access. Mm-hmm. And so it's a wave. You throw a rock in a pond and it causes waves. Mm-hmm. Online evangelism works the very same way. So don't get discouraged and think, well, I can't reach the entire world. You can reach one person, and that one person can reach two others, and that's what networking is all about. Mm-hmm. Someone may be thinking, maybe they're a minister or online disciple. How do you make yourself relatable to an online audience? Because there are people from various backgrounds, different countries. How do you still relate to those people?
Well, now, ostensibly we're talking about if you're speaking in English. There's so many places in the world where English is a second language, and they do understand. And that's the countries I just mentioned. You know, Israel, Philippines, India, Africa, a number of countries in Africa, like we were in Uganda. English is the second language. You'd be amazed what a global audience you can have if you speak English. If you speak Spanish, all over the world, you'd have an audience. If you speak Mandarin. Now, we translate programs at Amazing Facts, and we can't broadcast legally in China through radio and television. Mm-hmm. But Amazing Facts is one of the largest Christian broadcasters in China through the internet. And so we translate our programs. But we're amazed how many people in China, folks might be surprised to know that the largest English-speaking group where English is a second language is in China. There's more people that speak English as a second language in China than American citizens.
Yeah.
So there are over 300 million people in China that speak English as a second language. So even on the internet, if you do it in English, but we also translate.
Right.
So I've got pictures of me preaching in Mandarin and Hindi and these different languages. So if you can translate it, great. Otherwise, just get it out there. You'll be shocked. Mm-hmm. And some people, they answer me on my Facebook page, and they're answering me in another language. They understand what I say, but then I got to get a friend who'll translate for me. They said, "This is Portuguese. What are they saying?" You know. So there's a lot of people out there that are listening that understand. Mm-hmm. And I would just say, let the truth fly.
Yeah.
Get it out there, and the Lord is going to have. I'll tell you a real quick story. And this is on the internet. You can see it. It's a Facebook post of somebody that is going up a tributary of the Amazon at night in a little aluminum boat. And they shine a light. They got a battery-powered spotting light. They shine it on the water. And someone's videotaping all this. And just from shining the light on the water, the fish get excited and they start jumping in the boat.
Wow.
And pretty soon you look and the boat is full of fish, and they never put a net, they never put a line in the water. All they put in the water was light. Mm-hmm. And this is what it is, fishing with the internet, is you are shining your light out there. Someone's going to see it.
Yeah.
And
jump in.
Yeah, and all these fish just jumped in the boat because the light excited them.
Yeah.
And,
That's amazing. I love that story. I love that. For those of you who are just tuning into our Facebook Live interview, we are so delighted that you're tuning in from wherever it is around the United States and around the world. We're talking about the importance of using online means, digital means, to promote the gospel, to lift up Jesus Christ. So thank you for tuning in. If you want more information on how to promote your ministry or boost the gospel online, you can visit our website, centerforonlineevangelism.org. There are other resources like Big Data, SDA Big Data.org that you can go to for more information. Now, perhaps you're thinking, well, I'm not that person who can do a Facebook Live video. I can't write, I can't blog, I can't do a YouTube channel, I can't do a podcast. What else can I do? There's another thing that you can do, and that is supporting online ministries. How important is it for Amazing Facts for persons to be supporting the ministry?
We wouldn't exist if it wasn't for outside support.
Right.
Amazing Facts is entirely supported by others. In other words, we don't get any organizational subsidizing or companies or corporate grants or anything. It's just people who are watching that say, we're blessed, and they like it and they support it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are even some Christian ministries, if you don't mind my adding, Felicia,
sure, that
because they get so many views of their sermons on YouTube, they get paid. And so there's even some mechanisms to get paid content through advertising. If you got really good content, you get enough viewers, Facebook and YouTube say, hey, it's worth sponsoring.
Right.
And so, this is very important. And for pastors out there that might be watching, Amazing Facts is encouraged in the Granite Bay Church because there's so many people that can't go to church. They're shut-ins. And we have people that they maintain a ski ranch up in Canada in the summer. No one's there.
Right.
But they live there, and their only connection with the church is the internet. They're in the outback of Australia, and their only connection is the internet. And so there's whole congregations that are out there that they have no church they can attend. And so the internet provides them some degree of church connectedness and family.
Yeah, and that's such a great point, and I want all of us to be reminded of that when it comes to these various ministries. No, you may not be able to go online and do these things, but you can donate. So whether it's to the Amazing Facts Ministries, for example, or to the Center for Online Evangelism, you never know how much what you donate, whether it's through your time, whether it's through your resources and through your talents. You can say, hey, I want to write an article, and you can be a volunteer through that way. Maybe you love graphic design, you're a social media person, you can volunteer your time through that way. And if it's your funds that you can give, there are always ways to donate. There's something that everyone can do to propel the gospel. So if that is you, you can visit our website, centerforonelingevangelism.org, support the ministry, and visit Amazing Facts too. They are doing something amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with the new building that's going up, and what do you guys plan to do?
Yes, thank you for asking, Felicia.
Sure.
It's because of the internet, we've realized that this is just a tremendous way to provide a congregation to those that don't have a local church they can attend. And so outside of Sacramento, where of course we've got a lot of technical companies like Intel and Amazon and others are all building here. Up on a hill, we're outside of the Capitol, we're building we call it the Word Center, which stands for Worship, Outreach, Revival, and Discipleship. And it's going to be a whole church that is based around not only reaching the community, but reaching the world through internet and through broadcast and media. And fiber optic connection is going to be very important to what we do, because so much is going to be streaming media.
Yeah. And we'll never be able to know until we get to heaven how many people are blessed through these ministries. I want you to very briefly talk to specifically young people, young adults who are online, who are on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and Twitter and all the other things that I can't even remember, who don't feel as if evangelism is something that's for us. It's more for someone like you and the pastors and the ministers and the elders. What's your message to young people and their role, the role that they play in evangelism?
Well, evangelism is really one beggar telling another beggar where the bread is. It's when you find something good, you share it with others. And all the time through social media, all the different mechanisms of social media, whether they see something incredible they want to share, or they hear something they want to share, or they have something they want to say. If we can just convert that concept to the gospel and say, use these different methods and these different sites to say, I have found that which is satisfying my soul. I have found the truth. Share pieces of the Word of God and feed people. That's evangelism.
Yeah.
Point them to Jesus.
You're right. And to my own peers and my friends, I mean, just this morning, just going on Facebook alone, so many of us are sharing scriptures on Facebook. We have friends, whether it's 1,000, whether it's 500, whether it's 2,000. How many of our friends know of Jesus Christ, know of that hope? There are always ways that we can reach out to them. So, for example, if you want to find out more about how you can use these online means to reach out to your friends who are already online, you can subscribe to one of our newsletters. It's the Online Missionary Newsletter on our page Center for Online Evangelism, and we just give you ideas of how you can reach out to people online. So, final message to those who are powered up. They said, yes, I want to be a part of this. I want to use online means, but I have no idea where to start, how to start, what to do. What would be your message of encouragement to those persons?
Well, if they, I probably couldn't walk them through the technical aspects of how to set up an account, but assuming that they've gotten to step one, use that means. It starts maybe with your family. I've actually got a separate account I've got two Doug Batchelor accounts. One is just me and my kids and my family, and they send pictures of their grandkids. But even there, you can share the gospel with your family. Some people are connected through some social media with a work group or their fellow employees. If permitted, share some spiritual truth. And just it's the idea of communicating gifts. When you want to have a touch point with somebody, if the Lord's shown you something, just share anything connected with the good news.
Yes, definitely. We just want to make mention of one person who is watching, Larry Freeman. Hello to you. And he is a partner and a donor to Amazing Facts. And because of Doug Batchelor and the amazing work that they are doing, the work is going out to the world. So Larry, thank you so much for watching and for tuning in. And we want to remind all of you to share this video. You never know who is going to see it and be inspired to join this work so that we can reach more people for Christ, so that we can go home. The Bible says in 2 Chronicles chapter 20 that the eyes of the Lord run over through the earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose hearts are loyal to him, meaning that he is eager to use us, to work through us, to reach out to someone else. So maybe he's looking out for you to say, hey, through your Facebook account, through Instagram, through YouTube channel, by just using your phone, he wants to work through you to reach out to someone else. And if you are an online missionary, a digital disciple, and you want to know more about how you can use these online means, you can subscribe to any of our newsletters. Just visit centerforonlineevangelism.org and subscribe. If you feel impressed by the Holy Spirit to donate to any of these ministries to promote the work of the gospel, you can also visit our website and donate through that as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Pastor Batchelor, thank you. Just for your work, your ministry, what you are doing, what God's doing through you and your family. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you guys. Continue to tune in for more info. We're going to be selecting some persons from our comments for a very special gift giveaway. So stay tuned to our Facebook page for that. And have a great day or evening wherever it is that you are watching and listening from.
Amen.